In a world where noise is mistaken for power, the silent man suffers. People overlook him, underestimate him, dismiss him. Today, we end that. This video will reveal 9 quiet but ruthless Machiavellian techniques to make people respect you, without raising your voice, begging for recognition, or proving yourself through empty displays. I'm not here to teach loud arrogance. I am here to teach controlled power, the kind that forces people to rethink how they treat you, to step carefully around you, and to recognize your presence even when you say nothing. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. If you cultivate the right presence, you win respect before you open your mouth. Today, we solve a common problem. How do you make people take you seriously, quietly, without force, without conflict? Imagine this. The room is full of voices, opinions, egos banging into each other like swords in a crowded arena. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to dominate the space. And yet there is always that one person, quiet, still, composed, who somehow commands more attention than the loudest man in the room. Today we talk about how that person becomes powerful not through noise, but through silence. And not the silence of shyness or fear, but the silence of strategy, calculation, and control. The silence Machiavelli himself would call a weapon sharper than the blade of any sword. When you embrace calculated silence, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are forcing the world to react to you. People notice when someone doesn't rush to speak. They begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you are holding back, and what judgment you may already have formed. And in their curiosity, their uncertainty, they start giving you something priceless: respect. Most people talk to feel important. They talk to fill the awkward air. They talk to avoid being misunderstood. You, however, will talk only when you choose to, because calculated silence is the ability to sit comfortably inside moments that make others panic. A pause in conversation makes some people anxious. They rush to fill the gap. But when you hold the silence, the other person starts revealing more than they intended, simply because you didn't relieve the tension for them. They start explaining themselves, justifying themselves, trying to get clarity from your unreadable expression. And while they reveal, you observe, you gather information, you gain advantage. This is the first transformation. Silence turns into a tool of extraction. The less you speak, the more others say, and the more you learn about their motives, weaknesses, ambitions, doubts, and frustrations. Machiavelli would say that a prince who knows everything about his subjects, while revealing nothing about himself, is a prince who cannot be manipulated. Then comes the second transformation. Silence becomes a shield. In every discussion, people rush to declare their position, expose their emotions, and give away their vulnerabilities. But when you speak less, you give far less ammunition to others. No one can twist your words, misinterpret you, or use your reactions to gain leverage. You become unprovocable, and a person who cannot be provoked becomes someone others approach with caution, because they cannot predict you. Predictability makes you weak. Uncertainty makes you respected. When you practice calculated silence, you also free yourself from the pressure of needing approval. Most people talk because they want validation, a nod, a laugh, a sign they belong. But silence breaks that dependency. You no longer chase approval. You allow others to wonder what your approval means. You shift from wanting to be accepted to being the one whose acceptance carries weight. Perhaps the most potent aspect of this strategy is timing. A silent person who suddenly chooses to speak holds enormous influence, because when you rarely speak, your voice becomes an event. People lean in. They expect something insightful, something decisive, something important. And this expectation gives your words power before you even say them. A single well-timed sentence can carry more force than a paragraph of someone else's rambling. A brief observation can quiet an entire room simply because people assume you must have thought deeply before offering it. This is the psychological advantage of scarcity. When something is rare, it becomes precious. When your words are rare, they carry weight. Calculated silence is also a test. When you withhold your immediate reactions, you observe who grows uncomfortable, who tries to impress you, who seeks your attention, who feels the need to fill the void. People expose their hierarchy of insecurity through how they respond to silence. Some will get nervous, some will grow defensive, some will rush to convince you, and some will show their true character. Your silence becomes a mirror that reveals the nature of those around you. Machiavelli often wrote about appearances, the art of seeming rather than being. Silence enhances your appearance of strength. When people cannot read you, they assume the safest interpretation, that you are confident, intelligent, and in control. They project power onto you because you are not scrambling to prove anything. You create the illusion of depth, mystery, and authority simply by choosing restraint. In leadership, silence is even more vital. A leader who speaks too quickly appears reactive. A leader who speaks too much appears insecure. But a leader who listens, observes, and speaks selectively appears wise. When others present their ideas, your silence makes them reveal the strengths and weaknesses of those ideas more fully. They will even start refining their own arguments before you say a word, simply because they want to align with what they imagine your judgment might be. Even in conflict, silence is a hidden blade. When someone confronts you with anger or disrespect, responding immediately only fuels their emotion. But silence forces them to confront their own behavior. They start questioning whether they went too far. They start adjusting themselves. They become aware of the boundary they crossed, even though you never spoke it. Silence makes people feel the weight of their own actions. This is not the silence of passivity. It is the silence of someone who sees more than they say, who understands more than they reveal, and who chooses influence over noise. This is the first ruthless trick of quiet respect, mastering the art of calculated silence so completely that others recognize your presence before you speak and measure their words carefully when they address you. Picture this: before you speak, before you prove anything, before you even open your mouth, people have already judged you. They decide in seconds whether you deserve attention or can be ignored, whether you carry authority or blend into the background. And here is the truth Machiavelli understood better than anyone. Humans obey what their eyes perceive long before they obey what their ears hear. Your posture, your presence, and the way you carry yourself determine whether people treat you as a leader, an equal, or an afterthought. Today, we explore how mastering your physical presence becomes a silent form of dominance. Subtle, unspoken, but impossible to disregard. When you enter a room, you communicate your inner state long before you greet anyone. A slouched back, hurried steps, nervous hands, darting eyes. These signals betray insecurity faster than any words can hide it. But when you walk with controlled cadence, shoulders open, chin level, and movements deliberate, you create an aura that demands attention without asking for it. People instinctively respect what appears disciplined. Discipline signals strength. Strength signals author. And authority, even unspoken, reshapes how others behave around you. This is not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about embodying the version of yourself that others instinctively acknowledge. Machiavelli believed rulers must appear composed even when uncertain. The appearance of power often becomes power itself, because people respond to what they see, not what you intend. Your posture becomes your armor. Your stance becomes your declaration. Your very presence becomes a quiet command. Imagine someone sitting in a meeting. Their back is straight but not rigid, their hands resting calmly, their breathing steady. They are not trying to be seen, yet everyone notices them. Why? Because physical control suggests emotional control. Emotional control suggests mental strength. People trust what they perceive as stable. When you master your posture, you signal that you are not easily shaken by pressure, not desperate for approval, and not controlled by the environment. You become the anchor in the storm, the fixed point others unconsciously gravitate toward. But posture is only the beginning. Real physical dominance is communicated through timing. Moving too fast looks anxious. Moving too slowly looks uncertain. But moving with measured pace, unhurried, intentional, creates the impression that your time is valuable and your thoughts are clear. Someone who rushes appears to be reacting to life. Someone who moves with deliberation appears to be directing it. This small shift in motion rewires how others perceive you. They begin to see you as someone who is self-possessed, someone who chooses every step with purpose. Then comes the power of stillness. Most people fidget. They tap their fingers, shift their weight, adjust their clothes, touch their face, constant small movements that signal nervous energy. But when you learn to be still, truly still, you create an atmosphere of authority around you. Stillness is rare. Stillness suggests focus. Stillness draws attention. People begin to look at you simply because you are not doing what everyone else is doing. And in their attention, you gain something invaluable: psychological presence. Machiavelli observed that fear and respect often come from the same place, an awareness of someone's strength. Your posture and movements should quietly communicate that strength. Not aggression, not dominance through force, but the kind of strength that comes from internal structure, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. When someone stands tall, shoulders back, gaze steady, they are signaling a command over themselves, and people instinctively respect those who govern themselves well. There is another part of this: eye contact. Machiavelli would tell you that a prince must understand the eyes of others before he lets them understand his own. The key is not to stare, not to intimidate, but to hold just a moment longer than expected. A second of controlled eye contact does something subtle but powerful. It asserts presence without hostility. It signals alertness without desperation. It tells the other person, I see you, I hear you, but I am not moved by you. That tiny moment shifts the balance of power. People take you more seriously because they recognize confidence that does not need to be announced. Even the way you take your seat reveals volumes. Someone who sits at the edge of a chair appears uncertain. Someone who spreads too widely appears insecure in their attempt to appear large. But someone who sits deeply, grounded, balanced, with an open stance, this is a person who occupies space because they believe they deserve to. People see this and respond accordingly. Respect rises from the assumption that you are comfortable in your skin, comfortable in the moment, and comfortable holding your position. Another essential aspect is breathing. People underestimate how visible breath is. Shallow breath exposes anxiety. Rapid breath exposes stress. But slow, controlled breathing radiates calm authority. The body cannot hide what the mind feels unless you train it. Controlled breath stabilizes your voice, steadies your gaze, and reinforces your physical presence. It is impossible to be perceived as weak when your entire posture conveys steadiness. What you wear also contributes to this form of silent respect, not through expensive brands, but through fit, cleanliness, and simplicity. Machiavelli believed appearances must be carefully crafted. You don't dress to impress, you dress to eliminate distractions. A simple, clean, well-fitted outfit communicates order. People see you and assume competence even before you speak. This is not vanity, this is strategy. Humans judge by appearance first and character later, if they ever get that far. The final, subtle layer of physical dominance is how you manage your energy. Some people scatter their energy everywhere. They talk loudly, move excessively, fill space with chaos. But when your physical presence is controlled, your energy becomes concentrated. People feel it. They sense that are fully in command of yourself, and they naturally adjust their behavior to match your tone. You lower your voice, and theirs lowers in return. You stand grounded, and they straighten up subconsciously. You move calmly, and the environment begins to settle around you. This is how you create psychological dominance without saying a word. You become the fixed center, the point of stability, the quiet force that others instinctively align with. This is how posture becomes power, how presence becomes influence, and how the silent language of the body earns respect long before your words ever begin. There is a moment in every interaction where people test your limits. Sometimes they do it openly, with a challenge or a question meant to push you, but most of the time it happens quietly. A small comment meant to see how far they can go, a request that slightly inconveniences you, a joke that dips just below respect. And here is what most people don't realize. Every time you allow someone to cross a small line, You silently teach them how to treat you. Machiavelli knew that authority is not taken by shouting or aggression. It is shaped through boundaries. Boundaries that are firm, unspoken, and enforced without explanation. Boundaries that signal you are not someone easily influenced, manipulated, or controlled. Imagine a line drawn in the sand around you, not a dramatic wall, not a loud declaration, but a subtle perimeter of self-respect. People feel it even if they don't fully understand it. They sense when you do not allow access to your time, your emotions, or your attention without intention. This presence alone creates respect because most people have no boundaries. They give too much, they explain too much, they tolerate too much. And when you do what they cannot, you instantly occupy a higher psychological position. Machiavelli would tell you that a prince must be feared just enough to maintain obedience, but never so much that he becomes hated. This balance comes from boundaries. You do not need to intimidate. You simply refuse to bend where others would. And you refuse quietly, without drama, without anger, without qualifying your no or padding it with excuses. When someone asks you for something that does not serve you or violates your priorities, you do not explain why. You simply say the words that powerful people have mastered: "That doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available," or "I'll pass." The less you explain, the more your boundaries solidify in the minds of others. People respect what is not easily accessible. They respect what takes effort to earn. They respect what does not yield easily. When you make yourself overly available, overly helpful, overly flexible, you blend in with everyone who is hungry for approval. But when you create limits, when you are selective with whom you give your time to, you elevate your value instantly. Humans want what they can't easily obtain, and they respect what doesn't bend at the slightest pressure. There is a specific kind of power that emerges when your boundaries are clear without needing to be spoken. It's in the way you respond to disrespect, not with anger, not with confrontation, but with withdrawal. When someone crosses a line, you pull back your presence, your effort, your warmth. You don't fight, you don't argue, you remove access. People feel this shift deeply because it forces them to confront their own actions. Silence becomes your consequence. Distance becomes your punishment, and because you don't explain it, they are left to interpret the reason themselves, which usually hits harder than anything you could have said. Boundaries also define how you treat yourself. If you don't honor your own priorities, no one else will. If you allow your schedule to be dictated by others, you lose the power of your own direction. When you give away your time freely, you tell the world it was never worth much. Machiavelli believed a ruler must manage his resources with absolute precision, and time is your most valuable resource. When you guard it fiercely, people begin to guard their own behavior around you. They choose their words more carefully. They hesitate before making demands. They approach with more respect because they know your time is not something they can casually waste. Even the way you speak reflects your boundaries. A person with weak boundaries fills their sentences with apologies, hesitations, and justifications. If it's okay, I don't want to bother you. Maybe if you have time. All signs of someone who fears disappointing others. But someone with strong boundaries speaks with clarity, brevity, and certainty. There is no shrinking, no explaining, no seeking permission. This type of communication shapes how others perceive you. They see someone who is not afraid to assert themselves, not afraid to disappoint others, and not afraid to stand alone if necessary. Boundaries are also reflected in how you handle emotional responsibility. Many people make the mistake of carrying the emotional burdens of others, absorbing complaints, drama, chaos. But a person with strong boundaries listens without absorbing, cares without sacrificing themselves, and supports without being consumed. And the more you refuse to be dragged into the emotional storms of others, the more people learn to approach you with respect rather than dependency. Then there's the boundary of self-respect expressed through consistency. When you say you will do something, you do it. When you say you won't, you don't. And when someone crosses a line, you enforce your boundary every time. Most people fail not because they lack boundaries, but because they don't follow through. They say one thing and tolerate another. They threaten consequences they never apply. This inconsistency kills respect. But when you act with consistency, your boundaries become real. People test you once, and only once. Watch how people behave when they sense your boundaries. They stand a little straighter. They choose their tone more carefully. They measure their requests. They avoid pushing too far. This is not because you demanded respect, but because you created an environment where disrespect doesn't survive. You establish a standard and others rise or they fall away. This is the essence of quiet power. You don't need to force people to respect you. You simply need to be the kind of person whose boundaries ape the reality around them. By refusing to bend to pressures that compromise your dignity, by holding firm in your decisions, and by protecting your energy from those who drain it, you create a presence that commands respect without a single word raised, without a single threat made, without any display of aggression. There is a certain kind of power that only the detached possess. The kind of power that makes people wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, and whether they truly understand you at all. Machiavelli would call this strategic detachment, the ability to remain present in the world yet never fully consumed by it. Not coldness, not apathy, but a deliberate distance that prevents anyone from gaining too much influence over your emotions, your priorities, or your sense of self. This distance creates an aura around you, a quiet intensity that draws people in while keeping them slightly off balance. And in that imbalance, respect is born. Strategic detachment begins with the understanding that not every situation deserves your energy. Most people react to everything. They respond instantly, feel deeply, attach quickly, and invest emotionally without thought. Their sense of worth rises and falls with how others treat them. But when you practice detachment, you refuse to let the world pull you into every emotional current. You choose where to invest your focus. You decide what matters. This choice alone separates you from the many who are slaves to their impulses. Imagine being the kind of person whose mood does not fluctuate with every comment or criticism. Someone whose self-control is so stable that others can't tell what provokes you or what moves you. Someone who listens, observes, calculates, and chooses responses not from emotion, but from strategy. People respect a person who is not easily swayed, because influence becomes impossible without ional access. And when people cannot influence your emotions, they adjust their behavior, their tone, their approach. They treat you differently because they sense a distance they cannot cross. This distance is not loneliness, it is leverage. The less you cling to others, the more they feel compelled to seek your approval. When you do not chase, they pursue. When you do not over-explain, they analyze. When you do not emotionally react, they become more careful about how they interact with you. Detachment reverses the power dynamic without a single act of force. It creates mystery, and humans instinctively respect what they cannot fully understand. Machiavelli believed that rulers must be unpredictable, enough to keep others cautious, yet steady enough to maintain trust. Strategic detachment gives you both. When you are not constantly available, not constantly reacting, and not constantly expressing, people find you intriguing. They wonder what you're thinking, whether you approve, and what your silence means. Every interaction becomes heightened because you are not predictable. Predictability invites control. Unpredictability creates respect. Think of how you behave when you value your own inner world. You don't rush to respond to messages. You don't give instant answers just because someone asks. You don't drop everything at the slightest request. You show that your time has weight. And when something has weight, people handle it carefully. Detachment makes your presence significant because it is not easily given. Your reactions, or lack of them, are another layer of this power. When someone tries to provoke you, the detached person doesn't give them the satisfaction of emotional response. No anger, no defensiveness, no dramatic speech, just stillness, a calm expression, a quiet mind evaluating the situation. This unsettles people more than shouting ever could. Your restraint signals superiority. You are not controlled by the moment. You are controlling your interpretation of it. And when others see this, they begin to second-guess themselves. They rethink their words. They measure their tone. They show respect not because you demand it, but because they cannot read you. and that uncertainty forces them to adjust. Strategic detachment also influences how you connect with others. You don't reveal everything about yourself quickly. You don't broadcast weaknesses. You don't overshare your plans. You let people earn access to you. And because they must earn it, they value it. The less of your inner world people see, the more they fill in the gaps with their own imagination. They assume depth. They assume strength. They assume intelligence. People give meaning to what is hidden, and that meaning often works in your favor. There is a dangerous mistake many people make. They attach themselves too tightly to the opinions of others. They let praise lift them and criticism destroy them. But the detached person stands apart from this. Praise does not inflate them. Criticism does not weaken them. They remain steady, grounded in their own values and decisions, and nothing commands more respect than someone who cannot be controlled by external validation. A detached person also knows how to walk away, not in anger, not in drama, but in calm finality. When a situation no longer aligns with your principles, your goals, or your peace, you leave without hesitation. Most people stay too long, too afraid to lose relationships, opportunities, or approval. But when you walk away easily, quietly, without pleading or arguing, you demonstrate that you do not depend on anyone to define your worth. And that simple act can shift an entire power dynamic. Strategic detachment enhances your presence by limiting your availability. People begin to realize that attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. They put in effort. They behave better. They choose their words carefully. They approach you with the awareness that you are not someone who can be taken lightly. Your distance forces them to rise to your standards. Even in leadership or influence, detachment is crucial. If you become too emotionally entangled with the problems around you, you lose your ability to see clearly. But when you maintain a strategic distance, you can observe motives, intentions, and patterns with sharper clarity. You respond with logic rather than emotion. This ability to remain objective makes others trust your judgment. They see you as someone who does not crumble under pressure or lose control in chaos. In relationships, detachment prevents dependency. You give affection, but not desperation. You give support, but not self-sacrifice. You give presence, but not possession. And in that balance, the other person steps forward with more effort, more respect, more desire to match your composure. Detachment attracts rather than repels, because it creates the space where admiration grows. Strategic detachment is not a withdrawal from life. It is a disciplined choice to remain sovereign over your emotions and your energy. It is the quiet force that tells the world you cannot be easily swayed, manipulated, or dominated. And in that controlled distance, you create a presence that others cannot ignore, cannot predict, and cannot help but respect. In the end, the world does not reward the loudest voice, the fastest speaker, or the one who begs for recognition. It rewards the man who commands himself, the man whose silence carries weight, the man whose posture speaks authority before he utters a word, the man whose boundaries form an invisible perimeter of respect, the man whose calm detachment forces others to rise to his level. These are not tricks of manipulation. They are disciplines of power. Rulers, leaders, and individuals who stand above the crowd have always understood one truth. Respect is never requested. It is constructed through presence, restraint, and strategy. Embrace silence not as weakness, but as a sharpened blade. Carry yourself with the structure of someone who answers to no chaos. Guard your boundaries as though they are the walls of your kingdom, and walk through the world with a calm distance that no one can penetrate without earning it. Do this consistently, and people will not only notice your presence, they will adjust themselves around it. Respect will not be loud. It will not be dramatic. It will arrive quietly, naturally, inevitably, as the only possible response to the person you have become.